Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast and another deep dive into the strategies that are, well, fundamentally changing how organizations operate.
Today, we're going far beyond the usual suspects.
We're tearing down the walls around Agile methodologies, Scrum, Kanban, and exploring their powerful application far beyond the traditional realms of software development and IT.
Right, we're focusing on how core business functions, specifically marketing and even human resources, are adopting this framework.
And for you, the listener, if you're navigating a competitive, fast-moving environment, the pressure to deliver real results faster is it's constant.
And this shift isn't just about better project management. It's really about competitive survival.
That's right. So our mission today is to really extract the strategic insights from our source material. We're going deep on how adopting this new flow-focused mindset lets these traditionally project-based departments focus intensely on customer value
And ruthlessly cut organizational waste.
to gain a massive competitive edge in delivery. We're looking for the shortcuts to strategic adoption.
And we absolutely have to start with the strategic why. This isn't academic at all. It's driven entirely by customer expectation.
That knows so.
Well, whether you are launching a product or hiring talent, customers and candidates expect rapid incremental improvements constantly.
So your old project management playbook, the one with massive annual plans,
It just can't keep pace. It's obsolete.
I find that so compelling. It really means agility is an operational necessity, not just some trendy buzzword you put on a slide deck.
Exactly. And the complex nature of work today, think about cross-channel dependencies in marketing or multiple stakeholder approvals in HR. It means visualization and actively limiting multitasking are essential just to survive.
Let alone win.
Right. And the core strategic insight we pulled from the sources is this. You have to stop treating massive marketing campaigns or large hiring initiatives as single, one-off projects with some fixed endpoint.
Okay, so what's the alternative?
You treat them as iterative products that you continuously improve upon. And you do that using tight, consistent feedback loops. That changes everything about how you allocate resources and budget.
Okay, let's unpack this foundational mindset first, because the tools, Scrum and Kanban, they're really just the packaging.
The real power is in the lean roots.
So when we talk about these methodologies, we're really embracing classic industrial ideas. Where does this trace back to, and why does that context matter to, say, a modern HR director?
It traces back primarily to the Toyota production system, the classic source of lean manufacturing.
And we see direct translations of concepts like
just-in-time delivery, which minimizes inventory waste, and the truly powerful idea of stopping the line when a defect is spotted.
Wait, hold on. Stopping the line. That sounds terrifying to a business manager who's just focused on hitting a quarterly deadline.
It does. It sounds completely counterintuitive.
So how do you sell that idea in a deadline-driven marketing environment? Doesn't pausing just equal losing time?
It feels like it. But the cost of not stopping is exponentially higher. You see, in a business context, a defect isn't a faulty car part.
It's what? A bad campaign brief?
Exactly. A poorly written campaign brief, an ambiguous job description, or a broken handoff between departments. If that bad brief travels all the way through design, legal, and execution before someone catches the mistake,
The rework cost would be enormous.
enormous. Stopping the line just means empowering staff to fix quality defects at the source, which prevents that massive organizational rework and ultimately preserves value.
That puts all the responsibility on the front lines, which is a major cultural shift, right?
It is a huge one. And what's fascinating here is the foundational change in perspective this demands. You have to stop viewing work as just a list of tasks assigned to people,
And instead you see it as
as a chain of customer outcomes. That mindset shift helps you define value from the customer's eye, whether that's an external consumer or an internal team, before the work even starts.
And once that value is crystal clear, you can ruthlessly remove anything that doesn't advance it.
Which leads us directly into systems thinking.
Right. And this concept always felt a bit abstract in the old IT context, but applying it to marketing and HR seems absolutely crucial.
It is. Systems thinking forces you to map the entire value stream, the complete journey from the initial request, like a new campaign or a new hire.
All the way through to fulfillment.
Right. And the goal is to optimize the whole system, not just isolated parts of it.
Can you give me a concrete example of that? Optimizing the whole system versus just a local part.
Absolutely. Think about HR recruiting. A local optimization might be telling the sourcing team to double the number of candidates in the funnel.
That looks great on a spreadsheet. More is better.
Looks efficient, right. But if the interview panel, the hiring managers, is the actual bottleneck, all you've done is create longer queues, a slower time to hire, and a worse candidate experience.
You've jammed up the middle of the line.
Exactly. Systems thinking identifies those manager interviews as the primary bottleneck and suggests solutions there, even if it means slowing the sourcing team down for a bit.
So we're translating the values from the Agile manifesto collaboration, quick feedback loops, small batches into business services. It's about building quality checks into each step.
To lower the catastrophic cost of fixing things at the end, it makes the process predictable and less risky.
And it means leadership has to insist on focused work and short cycles.
Which brings us perfectly to how marketing is harnessing this.
Okay, let's move to marketing. How does a traditionally creative, brand-focused thing like a new campaign suddenly get treated like a product?
You start by framing the entire channel, say your email funnel or your paid social presence, as a product with its own value proposition, its own metrics, its own roadmap.
And the key mechanism for that is something called
Minimal viable marketing, or MVM.
MVM.
Right.
I know that term, but what's the real strategic power behind it? I get the idea of small tests, but how does that change the relationship between marketing and, say, the CFO?
The strategic power is all about risk reduction and validated learning. The traditional approach was these massive six-figure annual campaign launches.
A single huge bet.
A huge bet. And if it failed, the budget was gone. The risk was catastrophic. MVM forces marketing to deploy tiny bets, just testable slices of a campaign.
Like 2 variations of an offer or a specific creative set.
Exactly. To quickly find out what works through constant A/B experiments.
So instead of betting everything on red, you're testing a handful of small chips, learning what works, and only then placing your bigger bets on validated results.
Precisely. That ties marketing budgets directly to provable customer impact.
Yep.
You ship small, you measure results, specifically conversion, not just impressions, and you learn fast.
Scale the winners, kill the losers.
And the Agile tools provide the relentless focus you need for that kind of continuous iteration.
This is where it gets really interesting for me, the application of the tools. How do Scrum and Kanban practically translate into a dynamic, often chaotic marketing department?
They translate by enforcing rhythm and visibility. So first, marketing teams create a prioritized backlog, a list of ideas and experiments, but it's prioritized based on expected customer impact, like potential return on ad spend.
Then they use time-boxed sprints.
Usually 2 weeks, yeah, to keep that focus and speed up delivery.
Okay, so we have the prioritized list for the sprint. But how do we use something like Kanban to stop the creative team from just getting completely overwhelmed?
That's where flow management comes in. They visualize all their in-flight tasks on a simple Kanban board. The columns might be something like idea, drafting, legal review, published, and measured.
But the crucial step, the one that's always the hardest to adopt,
Is limiting work in progress, or WIP.
why is limiting WIP so critical? Especially for creative people who, they often pride themselves on multitasking. It feels like you're forcing them to sit idle.
It does. But doing less work at the same time actually increases your overall output. When a marketing specialist is juggling 5 different campaigns, switching from writing ad copy to reviewing designs to a results meeting, the cost of that context switching is enormous.
It's a huge source of waste.
A huge source. Limiting WIP means the team focuses on, say, only 3 major campaigns until they are done, published and measured. This reduces the switching costs, it increases quality, and it dramatically increases throughput.
That makes perfect sense. And I imagine for a multi-channel team, you have to explicitly manage the dependencies, right?
Absolutely. You visualize where those dependencies are. Is the email team waiting on the paid media team for a landing page? The board makes those interlogs visible, so you can solve them proactively, not after the fact.
And it all culminates in measuring outcomes, not just activity. What are the crisp KPIs that leadership demands to see from these experiments?
They focus relentlessly on business outcomes, conversion rate, customer acquisition cost, or STAC, return on ad spend, ROAS, and velocity. How fast is the team moving validated value from an idea to a measured result?
The goal is to standardize the dashboards, so the insights from those A/B tests move quickly into repeatable, high-performing development.
That's the engine.
Fantastic. Now let's pivot to human resources and people operations. This feels even further removed from software, but the strategic idea is the same. Treating the entire recruiting process as a continuous value stream.
And that shift is so powerful because hiring is a service. It's delivered to an internal customer, the hiring manager, and the speed and predictability of that service are critical for the business.
So you can use the same flow principles we just talked about.
Exactly. You map the recruiting flow from initial sourcing, screening, interviews, all the way through to the offer and acceptance. It makes every single handoff and every wait time completely visible.
So the power of visualization, again, using a Kanban board for recruiting. But what's the primary benefit there beyond just knowing who is where in the pipeline?
It's about transparency and bottleneck identification. The board clearly shows where candidates are stalling. Is it in the screening phase? Are they dropping out after the third interview?
And when everyone hiring managers, HR, even finance for approvals, can see the same board.
It forces collective accountability. It helps them speed up decision-making and cut out all the unnecessary approval cycles that just drag the whole process down.
And just like in marketing, you time box things to maintain focus and urgency.
Yes, using time boxing for outreach, for screening, for decision windows is vital. It forces focus, which dramatically lowers the cycle time and the cost of the hire.
And strategically.
Strategically, time boxing interview rounds and offer approvals sets clear service-level agreements. This not only cuts costs, but it improves the candidate experience by making the process predictable and fair.
This brings up a critical question about systems thinking in HR. I mean, beyond just optimizing the pipeline itself, what's the larger organizational benefit of synchronizing HR with the rest of the business?
It allows for strategic synchronization between business demand and delivery capacity. HR can now participate in quarterly roadmap planning, the same sessions as product or marketing.
So that hiring cadences explicitly match the real project peaks and critical skill needs.
Exactly. You stop these local optimizations that create system stress later on.
You mean preventing that quick hire that, I don't know, checks a box but then completely overwhelms the onboarding team or creates a compliance backlog?
That's it, exactly. You're connecting the hiring stream to the operations stream. The answer is creating strong working agreements across departments. HR and legal agree on a 48-hour SLA for contract approval. HR and IT agree on a 1-week lead time for equipment.
It's a systemic view.
It ensures you're delivering maximum value to the ultimate internal customer, the team getting the new hire, in a way that doesn't damage the rest of the system.
This all sounds great in theory, but, scaling this mindset across a large organization feels like a major cultural challenge. What does the source material say about sustaining this agility?
Right, if we connect this to the bigger picture, sustaining agility requires visible, consistent leadership and unwavering transparency. People need to know the reality of the workflow, not just some optimistic status update.
And that's where tools like information radiators come in, right? For our listener, what does a physical information radiator even look like in an HR or marketing office?
It's just a large, highly visible display that broadcasts real-time, relevant information that every team member needs without them having to ask for it.
So in marketing, it might be a dashboard showing live conversion rates and ROAS for the top experiments.
Exactly. Or in HR, it could be a massive whiteboard showing all open roles, which ones are the bottlenecks, and the average time to hire. They act as daily signals so staff stop wasting time chasing status updates.
And the leaders must also be willing to practice Gemba. This is another one of those powerful lean terms that needs some context.
Gemba literally means the actual place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the practice of going to where the value is created, the actual workplace.
So for a marketing director, that means sitting with the design team while they create assets, not just waiting for the final result in a conference room.
Right. You observe, you ask questions about bottlenecks, and you fix issues at the source so problems don't get inflated as they travel up the chain of command.
So leaders have to shape the culture by modeling clarity and integrity, and most importantly, empowering frontline staff to actually use that stop-the-line mandate when quality dips.
That respect for the people doing the work is what ultimately reduces rework and raises performance. And critically, leaders have to focus on the right metrics.
Not vanity metrics.
No. You have to measure a flow cycle time, throughput, work in progress, and customer outcomes, not number of reports written. Measuring flow is what drives real systemic change.
So for you, the listener, who might be ready to start this process outside of IT, what's the practical roadmap? Where do you even begin without disrupting the entire department?
The source material is very clear on this. It strongly recommends beginning with a focused pilot team.
Start small.
Start small, maybe with one channel in marketing or the recruiting process for one specific department. This lets you test the roles, practice the ceremonies like daily stand-ups and retrospectives, and pilot the tooling with limited disruption.
And how do we make sure the learning from that pilot actually sticks?
You institutionalize it with short, honest retrospectives after each cycle. The team has to own incremental improvements. If the last marketing sprint was a disaster, the team discusses why and commits to one small, specific change for next time.
And finally, choosing the cadence Scrum versus Kanban. That feels like a critical early decision.
It depends on the nature of the work. You choose Scrum when you need regular planning and defined increments toward a goal like a focused marketing sprint to launch a new feature.
And Kanban.
You choose Kanban when work arrives continuously and priorities shift frequently. It's ideal for support requests, content review queues, or that continuous hiring pipeline.
But regardless of the choice, what are the non-negotiable metrics to track?
You always track the 5 key flow metrics: cycle time, throughput, WIP, quality and satisfaction, customer and team happiness. These give you the simple, steady signals you need to adapt.
So what does this all mean for the modern professional in marketing or HR?
It means that these practical shifts in how you plan, measure, and communicate can turn common projects into reliable, predictable delivery engines. Focusing on clear value and short feedback loops lets small, iterative wins compound over time
And that builds organizational trust and strategic momentum.
across every single business function.
The ultimate test of true agility, then, isn't just delivering something quickly once. It's doing so consistently, under pressure.
Precisely. The ultimate test of true agility is whether your organization can consistently deliver value to the customer while constantly adapting to real market challenges, anchored not by rigid, heavy processes, but by a shared mindset and simple, steady metrics that reflect the actual flow of work.
That's a powerful thought to leave us with. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive on how to take Agile beyond IT and into the strategic core of your business. This has been the SmartKeys podcast.
We encourage you to subscribe for more insights on the future of work and productivity strategies.
And if you want to dive even deeper into the specific organizational shifts, metrics, and practical steps we discussed today, we encourage you to read the full source article, Agile Beyond IT, How Marketing and HR Teams Are Adopting Scrum and Kanban. The link can be found directly in the show notes. We'll see you on the next deep dive.